Are you a mature student over 35 and looking to study in Canada, potentially as a pathway to permanent residency? Then let's chat about it. Hi, I'm Kay Wilson, regulated Canadian immigration consultant and founder of Northern Connections Canada Immigration. You can connect with us online at nccanadaimmigration.com. So in our practice, we do a lot of study permit applications. And of course, many of these students are mature applicants. They have a family, usually they have a spouse and children, while others might be single. But these applicants sometimes have concerns about age. Am I too old to study in Canada? Am I chasing a dream that is unattainable? What if I spend all this money and come to Canada and it does not work out? Am I giving up everything to come to Canada for it not to work? So these are some of the questions that these applicants usually have, right? I'm giving up a lot, as some of these clients often have established themselves in their home country. They have established themselves in their careers and may have even completed up to master's studies sometimes, right? But maybe because of the age factor, at this time, the study pathway may be the best option for them when they look at the general scope of immigration programs. You might also be wondering at this stage too, what are the possibilities of even getting a job in Canada? And will I be discriminated against because of my age? These are some real questions that you have. They're valid. And these are some things I'm going to touch on in this video. Will I be too overqualified, and what pathways for permanent residence will be available, especially when Canadian immigration programs are getting more competitive? So these are some very valid questions for sure applicants, and some that I come across every single day. Is age really a factor for the study permit application? I'll start by saying that we work with a lot of mature applicants in our practice generally. And one of the oldest clients that we've had to do a study permit for was 51 at the time of doing the study permit application. So you can imagine that by the time the studies would have been completed and then, moving to the next state, because remember, immigration is a process. It's not going to happen overnight. So by the time we get to PR and so on, this particular client would have been way beyond 51. And of course, this client had concerns about age and whether things can really work out. So again, age is not an important factor for a study permit application in my experience. And this experience comes from working with tons of mature applicants over 35. We've had clients in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and as mentioned, up to 51. So international students come in different ages. They will be pursuing different academic ventures and have different objectives. So at 35 to 50, your goals for studies and previously completed education and work experience may be different from someone just leaving high school, and that's completely acceptable. For example, someone that's more mature may be more inclined to pursue graduate studies versus someone that's leaving high school who will be looking to pursue undergraduate studies. So age is not necessarily a factor in the desire to study, because you can study at any time. And I personally do believe in lifelong learning, right? So here are some factors to bear in mind to achieve success in these types of applications. So one, you do want to define your purpose very clearly. So in your study permit application, your purpose of study should be clearly defined. You want to clearly outline for the officer your purpose for coming to Canada to study. What do you wish to accomplish? What are your career goals and objectives? What have you done in the past? And what has led you to this point in your career and education? This could be, for example, you have accumulated years of work experience in your field, but you never got the training that is needed in this particular field. But you never got the training and education that would be needed in this particular field to make you better equipped to advance your career further, maybe to a supervisory or managerial position, right? So that's a valid reason. Or your education is in a field that's unrelated to your current occupation. So these are some reasons why mature students may opt to study And this is what could be explained in your purpose as part of your study permit application. You do want to describe your motivations and intention for the officer, as mature applicants typically will be established in their careers and have accumulated experience, just like I mentioned. And you also want to carefully consider your program of choice as well. Very, very important. This is all done in what's called a study plan or a statement of purpose. And I believe for all study permit applications, but especially for the mature applicant, you do want to include a very detailed and well-written study plan in your application. And that will go a long way in establishing your background and telling the officer about who you are and what are your motivations. Essentially, effectively answering these questions will help to clarify why you want to do this now, and will also address any study gaps in your education that may be flagged by the officer, right? So this part is very, very important. Next is ties to your home country. You will want to outline the pull factors in your country of residence, which will basically indicate to the visa officer your intention to leave Canada at the end of your stay. After all, in a temporary residence application, you're trying to convince the officer that you will leave Canada at the end of your temporary stay. So even if you have the desire and motivation to apply for permanent residency, in this particular application, you are trying to convince the officer that you will leave Canada and that your initial purpose for coming to Canada is in fact temporary. Note any family ties, financial or other ties to your home country in your application. Mature applicants, I found, tend to be well established for the most part and typically do well in this area. And sometimes I come across applicants who may indicate that I don't have any ties. And once we start working with them and we ask them certain questions, we delve a little deeper, and then we do uncover significant ties that we can use in their application to help to strengthen that ties to their home country. So you may have more than you think you do, and it's not always tangible. Ties don't always have to be a house or a car or a property or land or something. It can be very intangible ties such as social and otherwise. So these are things that can be used to strengthen the aspect of ties in a study permit application for a mature applicant. Next is funds. So for mature applicants and all applicants for a study permit, in fact, you do want to demonstrate that you will have sufficient funds to facilitate your studies in Canada. Mature students tend to have some savings from working for a while in their careers, but they also tend to have obligations such as a family or mortgage or loans or other financial obligations. So it's very important to demonstrate your funds for the application purposes. And as a pro tip, you do want to show the officer an asset as opposed to a liability that you have against that asset. Overall, because age is a factor for some immigration programs, you do want to ensure that you have expert guidance to navigate this very complex process successfully. I've seen it and have worked with many clients, and I'm confident that it can work out with the right planning, the right strategy in the first place. So ensure that you do get some professional guidance, at least at the start of the process, so that you can plan it properly, especially if you're going to attempt to do this complex process on your own. If you do have a family, it is also possible for them to come with you, whether immediately or at some future date. And I know this is usually a question that, of course, more mature applicants will have because they do have families as well that they're thinking of how it's going to work in terms of the whole ramifications for the family and everybody keeping together as well. So if you're a mature applicant looking to come to Canada or currently in the process, share your experience below, and don't forget to share this video with anyone who may benefit from the information. See you in the next video.